People think growth means becoming the real you. Like one day you finally arrive as the finished version. But that never actually happens. Every version of you thought it was the final version. The kid version of you thought adults had life figured out. The teenage version thought its emotions would last forever. The version of you from 5 years ago probably believed it finally understood life. And now you look back and realize that person was still changing too. That's the weird part about being human. While you are inside a version of yourself, it feels permanent, it feels complete, it feels like, this is who I am now. But then life changes you again. You go through pain, you learn new things, you lose people, you gain confidence, you become embarrassed by old beliefs, you outgrow old coping mechanisms. You stop needing certain masks, and slowly, another version of you appears. Not because the old one was fake, it was real at the time, it just wasn't final. That's why old messages, old photos, and old memories can feel strange. Sometimes it feels like you're looking at another person. Because in some ways you are. A lot of suffering comes from trying to hold on to old versions of ourselves forever. We want our identity to stay stable. We want our opinions, roles, relationships, and image to stay consistent. We want to believe we finally arrived. But life does not work that way. The river does not stay one shape. The sky does not stay one color. Nature keeps moving without treating change like failure. Humans are the ones who panic when they change. But maybe change is not the problem. Maybe trying to become a permanent person is the problem. You were never meant to become one fixed thing forever. You were meant to keep becoming. The hardest part is realizing you cannot meet your future self ahead of time. You can imagine them, you can plan for them, you can fear them, but you cannot fully understand who you are becoming until you become them. That is why people are always shocked by themselves later. You look back and think, I can't believe I used to think that way. I can't believe I stayed there so long. I can't believe I accepted that. I can't believe I thought that was love. But during that time, it felt normal. It felt reasonable. It felt like reality. That is what makes self-awareness difficult. You are trying to examine the very mind currently generating your sense of truth. It is like trying to bite your own teeth. Most people imagine growth as adding things, more discipline, more wisdom, more confidence, more understanding. But a lot of growth is actually subtraction. You stop defending things that no longer fit. You stop performing identities that exhaust you. You stop needing to win every invisible argument. You stop confusing survival mechanisms for personality traits, and slowly, you become lighter. Not because life becomes easier, but because you stop carrying every expired version of yourself like it still needs to survive. Some identities are only temporary shelters. The problem happens when people mistake the shelter for the home. That relationship was a shelter, that ego was a shelter, that mask was a shelter, that obsession was a shelter, that hypervigilance was a shelter, that version of you knew how to survive a specific emotional climate. Honor it for surviving. But do not force yourself to live there forever. A lot of people stay loyal to old pain because pain once helped organize their identity. Without it, they no longer know who they are. So they unconsciously keep reopening old wounds just to recognize themselves again. That is why healing can feel strangely lonely at first. You are not only losing pain, you are losing familiarity. And familiarity can feel safer than freedom. The strange thing is, future versions of you are already hidden inside your current life. In the books you have not opened yet, in conversations you have not had yet, in boundaries you have not learned yet, in heartbreaks that will rearrange you, in responsibilities that will mature you, in moments that will quietly force you to stop pretending to be who you used to be. Transformation rarely announces itself dramatically. Usually, it looks small while it is happening. A conversation, a burnout, a disappointment, a new habit, a loss, a realization at 2 a.m. A moment where your old reaction suddenly feels exhausting instead of satisfying. And then one day, you look back and realize an entire identity disappeared quietly while you were busy living. That is why humility matters, because your current self is not the final authority either. One day, this version of you will also become a memory that another version studies carefully. But maybe change is not the problem. Maybe trying to become a permanent person is the problem.